Hi, this is Heather O'Neill, and this is my Everyday Counts case study for AEP 858. So, the summary of my case study is you have Mr. Rhodes, who's a first year principal at Golden Oak High School. There's almost 1,000 students. He has low teacher turnover rates. Most teachers have been there 10 plus years. Most of the families are middle class. There's some in the poverty range, and there's some in the high class range. Recently, there's been added diversity to the school with Asian and Hispanic families moving in. Most parents do have a commute to work. They have about a 1 to 2 hour commute. So Dr. Newman is the superintendent, and he wants Mr. Rhodes to focus on a few problems, with the number one problem being the school attendance. It continues to decline, and it's the lowest of all high schools in the district. Dr. Newman has encouraged Mr. Rhodes to work with the community agencies such as the social services and juvenile court to find a solution. And for starters, Mr. Rhodes is going to evaluate the first semester data to identify a trend and develop a plan for the 5 students that he noticed were gone 10 or more days. So some of the legal or ethical issues. Legal issues, there doesn't seem to be any harm to any teachers or students. Some teachers could be held liable or accountable by the law for their actions or lack thereof actions. The homeroom teachers signed off on absences that should have been approved by admin because they were unique situations. The athletic director does not have the authority to allow a student to repeatedly miss class, the football player, and the religion-related reason listed does not give any specific dates or any other specific information, and the parent had not signed that. Some ethical issues. Carl was referred to the truant officer while having random absences. He's not a high achieving student with all A's, so it seems like maybe he was red flagged a little bit more than some of the others, even though he did have lots of days gone. Not all students were treated the same in my eyes. The good grades or athletic students seemed to get a pass. They were not referred to the truant officer while he was. So my question would be, are we giving equal treatment? So to synthesize the case study, teachers are asked to make a decision on a problem not addressed by stakeholders of whether an absence is excused or not based on their personal experience and individual predisposition of a student without approval from administrator or the counselor. So basically they're just making these decisions on their own biased, it seems like a little bit. So synthesize the facts. So the people in this case are the 5 students. So Karen is an 11th grader. She's always had straight A's in the past. She was on NHS, and she seems to be having some family issues. It was noted that she came back married after, just shortly before school started. The parents had requested a meeting with the counselor, but nothing indicated that there was a follow through from the counselor to set up a meeting. Tyrone is a 10th grader in the honors program. He's made average grades. He missed school for trips he attended with his parents. His parents had shared that they would be educational trips, but nonetheless, he still missed 2 full weeks of school. His homeroom teacher signed off, even though the policy was only 3 days for personal reasons. Christina is a 9th grader. She missed 4 days in a row on 3 different occasions, so that put her over the 10-day mark. She attended out-of-town church meetings that were signed by her minister, but her parent had not signed the form, and specific dates and locations were not noted of why or where she was going to be at. And Christina's algebra teacher had requested a conference with the parent. It didn't show that meeting had ever occurred, and she had 2 C's and 1 D. Carl is a 10th grader who attends regular classes as well as VOTEC classes. He randomly misses school. He was referred to the truant officer. So a home visit was made. The parents don't support strong attendance or the importance of school, it seemed like. It was kind of like if he doesn't feel good, he doesn't have to go to school. Carl also has younger siblings that could be affected by his attendance as well. John is the high school quarterback. He's an 11th grader. He was injured in a football game. He's been attending physical therapy between noon and 2:30 when physical therapy is open on Tuesdays and Thursdays. John was excused by the athletic director to miss Friday afternoon classes during the football season to rest. John missed afternoon classes 3 days a week, but had not been reported for excessive absences. So the place, so the Golden Oak High School is located just outside of a metropolitan area. It lies in a suburban area. Many families do commute to the city to work, which consumes an hour to 2 hours of their day. They work for local industry or manage their own small business, and a few of them are professionals. So the program, Golden Oak High School, they have high school students, 9th through 12th grade, and they have roughly 1,000 students. It's a changing population. There's an increase in diversity with Asian and Hispanic families. There's 11 sports teams, football being the dominant, and lots of community support. And there's 31 school clubs. So there's lots of activities in athletics for the students to be involved in. So what's going on here? Let's review the information and prioritize it. So could the conflict, the situation, or the decision be damaging to stakeholders or to the community? And I think yes. By law, U.S. students must attend school. Students and families could face legal issues. If they're not, having their students attend school, teachers could face legal repercussions for not following board policy and reporting excessive absences. Stakeholders of the community need to invest in their school regulations and attendance to avoid, a downward cycle. If our students aren't attending school, they're not going to be getting the education. So, if we're already having a diverse population and we have some students in poverty, you could be, contributing to that poverty cycle. What individuals and groups have an important stake in the outcome? Mr. Rhodes and Dr. Newman, as well as all students, parents, teachers, have a stake in the outcome. Business leaders and community leaders have an important stake too. They want quality students to continue growing their community and their businesses. Have all the relevant stakeholders been consulted? No, I would say not. All staff will need to be addressed about the concerns and ensure that all staff are following the attendance policies without bias. The community needs to be addressed to assist and provide support to the school policies. So the next part, or the next one, can I learn more about the situation? I absolutely can. I think I can talk to families in more depth in conversations to see what we can do as a school to help with their attendance. How can I support them? Is there something that's just temporarily going on at home? This year, this semester, what's going on? I can also learn more about the community and its views on the attendance policies and other policies as well. Kind of get a perspective of what is going on, or a perception. Do I know enough to make a decision? Yes, I do believe I know enough. I'll follow current state, local, and board policies. After collecting more information, I would like to advocate for better unity among teachers, coaches, counselors, and staff to ensure that we are all following the same policies. If we don't show that united front, it doesn't matter how many awesome policies we have in place, then it's not going to work. If one teacher does it one way and other teachers don't follow through, the system's broken. So I would like to create a team to evaluate the attendance problem, who can help brainstorm ideas and support students who start to become absent in excess or regularly. So that way we can start getting problems handled before they become, a major problem. We can catch it at a small, minor situation. Options. Option number one, I could take no actions. Students continue to miss school. They continue to be absent. Option two is really an extreme action. Mr. Rhodes, takes immediate action. He speaks to each staff member who did not follow the policy for attendance. He reprimands them, provides a write-up for their actions and clearly points out that it will not happen again, or there will be additional consequences beyond what he's provided already. Shares that if the practice continues, legal actions can and, may or will be taken. As Mr. Rhodes, I would speak with the 5 parents and the students who missed more than 10 days and explain the state, local, and board policy about attendance. I would hold a staff meeting if I was taking the extreme action to ensure all staff are clear on the attendance policies and my expectations of how they will be followed. I would also hold a school-wide assembly pointing out the attendance policy and how it will be followed from this point forward, looking at second semester. A moderate action, which is what I would follow through with, is gather additional data from students, parents, and teachers, gather perception data from the community on attendance, work with teachers to develop a plan to build relationships with students and families to encourage better attendance. Sometimes a hammer is not always the best the best way to handle things when we have tough situations going on. Hold a staff meeting to share how we will be enforcing attendance for the second semester. Share what the consequences will be if teachers continue their previous practice. Ensure that all staff know and understand the policies that we are trying to follow. It's not just our board policies, but we have state and local policies to follow as well. Ensure that everyone understands the consequences for families and students when they do miss 10 or more days. And I would like to develop a plan with staff to monitor attendance and alert admin before there is a major situation, and work with staff to create a positive reward system for attendance. I don't think that we should always be punishing. I think that reward systems can go a long ways, especially, having that firsthand knowledge as a special education teacher. Creating a system that if students miss X days or less, they can get X rewards, such as a movie party, ice cream party, whatever the reward is going to be. So the options, no option, the pro is none, no action. No action. The cons are you could face consequences for not enforcing policies. Family and students continue the same behavior. The outcome is family and students continue to with the same behavior and have excessive days of school missed. Extreme action, pros are you set an aggressive example of how things will be handled in the future, shows people will be held accountable for their actions. Extreme action cons, pushback from staff, you may lose respect from quality teachers by not allowing, some sort of a grace period, and then you may lose staff. Outcome, quick actions, show you're serious about this issue, shows Dr. Newman that you are following his directions and working to solve the problem. Moderate action, sets a tone that you're serious about the issue, but you understand everyone makes mistakes, allowing staff and students to make changes before consequences occur, and allows for encouragement versus punishment. The moderate action cons would be change may not be immediate. It's going to take a little bit of time, may not be tough enough or make enough of change for staff and families, and may seem like bribery to some people if you set up a reward system, but ultimately you're getting the outcome you want, more kids at school for a small reward. Changes can be made with staff and students over time to encourage buy-in and respect would be a good outcome. So the best option, I think, is the moderate action. All staff and students, including stakeholders, will be aware of the policy enforcement and how it will, be set forward for the second semester and for the future. Changes can be made over time, allowing everyone to adjust to enforced policies and allow buy-in and allow positive results from better attendance, and setting the stakes for students and staff to make better choices, or they're going to face the consequences. So setting that, front and center, very clear that this is what's going to happen in the future. So implementing the decision, I would meet with staff to review the policies regarding attendance, review consequences for not following the policies, collaborate with staff to develop a plan for monitoring attendance, and, alerting admin when there starts to be a trend. This allows action before it becomes a serious problem. Work with staff to create procedures. Collaborate with staff to develop a plan for rewards with positive attendance, rewards versus punishment. Inform community stakeholders of the policy, and share how the consequences will be handled in the future, starting second semester and moving forward for violations, and inform community stakeholders that a new reward system is being put in place. Plan B would be to work with Dr. Newman to come up with some better solutions, and, including those outside agencies, even more than just having them be a part of our collaboration team to fix or improve, the moderate action plan and holding families and students accountable. And then I use standard 6 and component 6.2 of program completers understand and demonstrate the capacity to evaluate, develop, and advocate for data-informed and equitable resourcing plan that supports school improvement and student development. And that's it. Thank you.